So when it came time to go to college, having lived in the South so long, I wanted to go to the North. I sort of had this urge all my life to create some kind of balance. So I applied to colleges in or around New York City. If I'd had any guts, I would have just gone and asked Andy Warhol if I could work in the factory, but that would have probably ended up in an early death, so I'm glad I didn't. Anyway, I applied to colleges in the New York area, and I got accepted to a college called Sarah Lawrence College. And I went to this all-girl private high school in Charleston, and the headmistress, after I had gotten accepted, pulled me aside, and she said that she did not recommend that I accept that offer, that if I went to Sarah Lawrence, I would in fact become a communist. I was thrilled. I had no idea it was so easy. My parents, who had opposed the cutting down of large trees that lined the roads outside Charleston, had been told at one time to go back to Russia. So I knew that being called a communist was of some interest, but I didn't really know exactly what. So there I was. I had grown up in the South. I wanted to go to the North. As much as I loved James Brown, I wanted to hear more Bob Dylan. I was tired of all those impeach Earl Warren billboards. I didn't know what they would say in the North, but hopefully something better than that. And I also wanted to wear boots, and I needed a real reason to do that. In Charleston, there was never any cold weather. So I did go to college, and Sarah Lawrence was as left-leaning as I ever could have wanted. What my headmistress didn't know, I guess, or didn't tell me, was there were a million kinds of communists. There were Marxists and Trotskyists and Stalinists. There were followers of Castro and Che Guevara. There was just a melange. Most of them were actually older and had been arguing with each other for decades. So I became part of the newer sort of radical group. And I have often told people who know me that I actually majored in anti-war protest and minored in feminism in college. So my weekends were spent on the bus to Washington, D.C. I got tear gassed at Fort Dix. I helped levitate the Pentagon, and I spent endless hours in consciousness raising groups trying to discern what a feminist life would look like. At a certain point, toward the end of my college years, I actually started to tire of the urban scene. I was riding a subway out to the Bronx, where I worked in a storefront health clinic. I was on the streets handing out a radical magazine. I was actually getting tired of this life, and I had dreams of a more quiet, peaceful life. And I actually wrote the word commune on a piece of paper and taped it to the wall. This is in the days before Post-it notes. So I was yearning for some sort of communal experience. At Sarah Lawrence, you didn't have to actually declare a major. You just took so many courses, and then they added up the numbers, or whatever it is, they added up, and at a certain point you graduated. So I did actually manage to graduate. Years later, when I wanted to go to graduate school, I needed my transcript, and by then they'd had to sort of upgrade what they did, because a BA in liberal arts was just a little too general for most graduate programs. So when I got my transcript, I found out I had gotten a degree in philosophy. I was thrilled, because all that new Marxist reading, forget about Marx, the newer guys were nearly impossible to read, and I had done a lot of that and gotten quite tired of it.